So there were a number of things. Well, I guess I'll talk about the first thing that I just learned in the past like 10, 15 minutes or so. So I'm not going to really touch on this very much. There is a report from the New York Times that Bobby Kotick knew. There was a tweet from Mr. Jason Schreier, who regularly reports on like drama-related gaming industry sorts of stuff, and I'm trying to pull up this tweet. Somewhere around here, I've got it. I just wanted to read from it really quick for you folks who are just listening. So here was an excerpt from this article. Dan Bunting, co-head of Activision's Treyarch studio, was accused by a female employee of sexually harassing her in 2017 after a night of drinking, according to people familiar with the incident. Activision's Human Resources Department and other supervisors launched an internal investigation in 2019 and recommended that he be fired, so they did their job. But Mr. Kotick himself intervened to keep him, these people said. Mr. Bunting, who led Treyarch through the production of several successful Call of Duty games, incentive, was given counseling and allowed to remain at the company, these people said. Mr. Bunting didn't respond for request for comment. The Activision spokeswoman said an outside investigation was conducted in 2020. After considering potential actions in light of that investigation, the company elected not to terminate Mr. Bunting, but instead to impose other disciplinary measures, she said. Mr. Bunting left the company after the Wall Street Journal, this news thingy, asked about the incident. So, like, once he was like, "Oh, got caught, bye," and then he just left. So the foot in the mouth reaction is this fucking guy. That's kind of like how that's pretty much what it kind of goes to. From the looks of it, or just from this limited reading, Activision Blizzard did their job. Their HR team, they did their job. This is what happened. We recommend he be fired. Kotick comes in and says, "Nah, I'm going to disregard what you guys are saying, forget it." That's the kind of, and those are the kinds of actions that erode that sort of, it erodes the power of a good HR team. It enforces that kind of toxic culture because it makes that sort of behavior seem okay. It's like, oh, I can do this, and I'll be protected by the man up top, because I'm a big producer of like these games. That what I do for the company is more important than me treating people decently. That's kind of the takeaway here. But this is 2 paragraphs that I'm reading. I know nothing else beyond this, and I'm sure that people have some pretty strong reactions to that, like burn Kotick, burn. Although I do want to point out that the dates on these, 2017, 2019, and other such things, this is close to the timeline when the investigations inside Blizzard started to go on. With all that going on, Kotick was doing his thing, Blizzard was doing their thing, but it's not like Kotick. I'm trying to not make it seem like, oh, well, clearly this is all Activision's fault, and otherwise Blizzard would have been like just fine. No, that's not. I'm not trying to mitigate that at all. Blizzard did its own, awful set of things. Their leadership, at least. Now we're just seeing that it's everywhere. But are we really surprised? No, I'm not that surprised, honestly. Dark Split earlier asked, can you ask me some questions during the stream? I'm going to be covering a couple things. If you want to shoot out the questions now, I'll try to remember it. If you want to save them for later, that'd be cool too. So, the 17th anniversary for the World of Warcraft began yesterday, not today, but yesterday. So I'm not quite sure if for those who had completed the do their Doomwalker farming to try and get transmog or the mounts or whatnot, it should be reset today. I think we might be able to like jump right back in, which would be great. Thank you, by the way, Puddle Jumper, for the subscription. Much love. One of the bits of drama is with regards to this mount. Apparently it has a very, very low drop rate, and I haven't read it anywhere myself, but people were saying that drop rate may be addressed by Blizzard over the next couple of some things very soon. So that way the mount is a bit more obtainable. And it brought up this conversation of FOMO, the fear of missing out, and the fact that this event, it only happens once a year. There's no full guarantee, I'm predicting that there is, but there's no guarantee that this Doomwalker killing event for the mount, that it's going to follow us through subsequent years. Like some things have. The Korak's Revenge, that's still going on. However, other things like that whole time walk-in brouhaha from the previous year with the that Deathwing looking mount or something like that, that's not really maybe I'm not remembering that correctly. I think there was like some sort of mount or something special that you get for completing this whole time walking event where you fight a series of bosses. And then there was back in the day with Molten Core, there was that Fellhound if you completed this LFR version of Molten Core, which was kind of hard actually. It kind of took a while. But once you completed it, then you got a pet. Then you got a mount, but it hasn't happened since. It was just like, okay, we're done with that. It goes away. My prediction is that this Doomwalker thing won't go away, and that's why the drop rate is what it is. So that way, people have a little something to look forward to whenever an anniversary event does come around. Because otherwise, again, these are all just my opinions. If this event were to come by and the mount was like guaranteed, then the maximum time that we would care about this particular Doomwalker kill is until we get the rewards that we want, and then we're done. Now, for some people, they're done because they did happen to get the mount and all the transmog that they want, and they're good to go. But it does provide some small incentive for people to come in, and that's kind of where we're at now. There's a lot of conversation going around about how something like that really sucks. This is an anniversary event. This should be something that's just full of positive energy and people just coming out and winning, things like that. My take, as usual, is mixed because what we're getting is a mix of things that are on a chance drop. For example, like this mount from Doomwalker, but there's also stuff that we can buy. There's also other stuff that we can farm for. There's still the Korak's Revenge mount. And then there's some new time walking things that were added. There was a pet and I think one or two other things. And then there's more prizes too. So there's just a lot for each player type to appreciate. The type of person who I guess would be the most upset with how this implementation is going, or would be very collection oriented people that are I gotta have it now. And I don't mean that they're being bratty or anything like that, but they want it now. I guess I'll just try to say it in a more calm manner. In contrary to last year, we can't queue up to kill 3 bosses from each WoW expansion, which also gave both gear and experience. Oh, did that event give gear and experience back in the day? I only did those LFR things with max level characters, so I don't remember. Now, for this Doomwalker thing, I was going through my entire roster, my entire WoW history. I'm okay, are you level 30 and above? Yes. So I think I did 20-something, 20-something characters that are above level 30. Didn't get the mount. I think I got just about everything else, but speaking for me, I'm not a huge mount person. It's not the end of the world, but I feel now that I've done it once and I have all these characters just hanging out, in front of the caverns of time, I'm there. I'm committed. I'm just gonna switch, go. Modi, hey, thank you, dude. You have an okay website too. Just messing, dude. What's up to you, Justin? And what's up to everyone who's joining us today? We're going to be talking smack. I just went over some little drama thing with, not little. I just went over some stuff with Activision Blizzard and Bobby Kotick and how he's a bad man again. I was just talking about the anniversary event and some of the drama behind that, and that whole feeling of the fear of missing out. Nobody really likes that. But at the same time, it provides that sort of replay value there. Alligator says that the problem is that even if it was a 50% drop rate, there's still people who won't get it, even killing it every day, just mildly frustrating. There are some of us out there who are new players who do not have an army of 20 or so characters to park in front of Tanaris and farm this dude week after week after week in hopes of getting this mount. There are also hundreds of mounts in the world of Warcraft. And I totally get that the ones that we don't like, in terms of acquisition, I don't like the 1% drop mounts. I don't like the shop mounts. I don't like the ones that go away like the gladiator ones. I get it. Totally get it. But there are a lot more mounts too. And for some of those other folks, they have different preferences, or they have different dislikes. Oh, I don't like doing this sort of content. Oh, I have to do this just to get that. Wait, you're making me play Hearthstone to get a mount? That's not going to happen. That's okay. There are so many different ways to acquire anything, and so many different things to get, that we're always going to have this sort of discourse, because there are so many different sorts of player types and player psyches that are like that embrace or otherwise hate these sorts of things. Coffee time. You know what? Now's your chance, Darksplit. Before we get into the main thing that I want to talk about, because I feel like I'm just shaking my head at some of these folks' reactions to this article from Wowhead about Curseforge and Overwolf and this crazy amount of not crazy amount of misinformation, but like I feel like the discourse is almost entirely emotionally driven. Like, if I say Overwolf, then people will be like, ugh, I get that nasty feeling, like my tummy aches and I want to take a big dump. Gross. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the actual information and other such things, and I'm like, what are y'all tripping about? So anyway, we just about finished talking about the 1% chance mount, right? Now, I don't know if it's really 1%. I remember when that Wowhead article first came out, they immediately said 1%, and I think that was just because of their observations from seeing people farm, and they did like a ballpark. So maybe it is 1%. Maybe it's less than 1%. Maybe it's more. No way of knowing for sure. My hopes are that it gets like a little bit better. But I know you got yours. I saw the picture on, was it Twitter or Discord, Ryan? Yeah, so he got his. So he can't say anything. If he's gonna say something, shush, because you got it. You're fine. Your 11th character. Ain't that nice, dude? Ain't that nice? What's up, Goblin? Just getting here. What have you went over? I went over like a couple of the quick things already. I already talked about. I mentioned like what little there is about the about Activision Blizzard and Bobby Kotick, and accusations, not accusations, but reports that he is very tolerant, that he tolerates performance over decency. I talked about the anniversary stuff and some of the drama behind that, and how some folks are just not happy about the drop rates, and maybe it'll change. I'm not quite sure, actually, if they had said something. WoW hotfixes 14 hours ago. Nope. If the mount was more special, then I would understand the low drop rate. That's a good point. The fact that the mount isn't like a super unique model, nothing crazy like that, that doesn't. The drop rate is pretty low for something like that. He's a CEO, Bobby Kotick. That's kind of what they do, and that's one of the main problems: lack of ethics in business. To their small credit, and by small credit I mean like almost kind of sweeping under the rug sort of thing. The article does say that instead of firing, Kotick recommended, or said, hey, just have him do counseling and all that stuff, and then and then we'll leave it at that. I'm the type who believes in a redemption story. I believe that people can learn from mistakes, and I'm making broad, I'm not going to try to make broad assumptions about what happened, aside from some easy facts like whatever took place was outside of work, and there was alcohol involved and stuff like that. That's where it stops, though. You know, people should be decent, right? But with only guessing the circumstances, would counseling have been enough? I don't know. Was firing necessary? According to the HR team, yes. That's, you know, and those were the facts. And Kotick unilaterally decided, nah. And I think that's where my biggest critique lies. That it's like, oh, so we're gonna rely on your gut. Yeah. I was gonna make a fat joke. That's kind of mean. I'm like, you're gonna rely on your gut. Okay. But it's clear that that it's more like Kotick was thinking with his wallet in mind. He was putting the company before the individual, which I understand, but I totally disagree with, because when it comes to the individual, this is abhorrent behavior that should not be tolerated. And after coming out to say something like, after coming out and making these strong statements, like a year or so later, it's like, oh, so what sort of platform or what sort of foundation are you coming from, bruh? Again, he's looking out for the interests of the long-term health of the company and his wallet and other such things. So that I'm going to leave alone for right now, because I want, unfortunately, I don't know, I'm going to be very sloppy talking about this, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to be talking about this article here, posted from Wowhead, with some news that we knew was going to happen. It was just a matter of when, and here we are. The end of Azure. Azure is a third-party add-on manager that you run it, and you can, it's kind of like Curseforge or WowUp. It lets you choose all the different sorts of add-ons that you want, and then you download it. And then these add-on managers, they will update the add-ons as the authors update their versions of the stuff, and they upload them to Azure and WowUp and whatever. And that's how that works, basically. Very simple. So I'm gonna read a little bit, and I'm gonna read and comment, and we're gonna kind of go all over the place and try to understand. Or I'm gonna demonstrate. What I'm gonna do, like straight up, I'm gonna demonstrate my understanding, share that with you, and if you agree, disagree, totally fine. It's your guys' brains. You have eyeballs too. But let's go over some of this stuff together. The third-party World of Warcraft manager Azure will no longer be maintained, as announced today by founding developer That Person, citing new licensing options from Overwolf and Curseforge, which will restrict the API from third-party distribution. While Azure will continue to work until at least next month, while the API changes outlined in Overwolf's newsletter begin to take effect. By the way, API, I don't have a good way to describe this, but API is it's kind of like, I can't really describe it. It is it's this way for apps and websites to communicate with each other. That's the best way I can describe it right now. Anyway, the author has opted to abandon the project rather than find a way to work around new rules, which will restrict add-on authors from profiting from third-party downloads and pressure them into restricting access to their add-ons altogether. So here's his statement. I started working on Azure in summer of 2020. The goal was simple. I wanted the easiest and fastest way to update and download all of your add-ons for World of Warcraft. The timing was good. Curse had just been sold to Overwolf, Shadowlands was about to be released, and Classic was popular. I spent many hours building Azure, and luckily I had people to help me early in the project. Together we created what I believe is one of the best add-on managers ever, and on top of that, I made some new best friends. Aww! In late 2020, Overwolf posted about their stance on third-party add-on managers. The short version is that since Overwolf earns their money from ads and user data, they wanted the users to use their application rather than third-party add-on managers. However, they weren't sure exactly what their plan was, so for the time being, they kept the API open as it always has been. Fast forward to the present time, Overwolf now knows what they want to do. They will deprecate the current API or that communication and create a new kind of communication where downloads do not count. Downloads from Azure do not count towards the Curseforge reward program, essentially splitting the community and by turning add-on developers against third-party add-on managers. Let me try to describe what this means really quick. In a nutshell, when a person goes to the Curseforge website or uses the Curseforge application and downloads an add-on, that is a boom, that's like a little point, or that's a little bit of a credit that goes towards that add-on author. That little credits can then be turned into cash. That's basically it's super oversimplified, but that's kind of how that works. So by making a new API where downloads do not count towards the Curseforge reward program, so now, or going forward, once this thing is implemented, if you download something from WowUp and or Azure, that doesn't count towards that point that the add-on author gets. So they basically don't make. They basically potentially don't. Well, okay, they don't make money off of those downloads, and this is where this author is writing this narrative, splitting the community by turning add-on developers against third-party add-on managers. That now this in my opinion comes from from their perspective, their own bias, not in a bad way. This is simply the way that they're telling their story. In addition, they will rate limit third-party add-on managers like Azure if one becomes too popular, and not all add-ons will be available over the API. Now I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. The new API will allow add-on authors. So I'm gonna say the DBM person, Mystical OS. The DBM person can choose. Okay, I'm gonna upload my thing onto Curseforge, but I'm also going to hit this toggle saying that it can only be downloaded from the website or from the application. And even if someone tries to do a search for it on like Azure or WowUp, they can see it and they can click on the website to go to download it, but they can't download directly from that application. That's what this means. It's not that it's more like a choice. It's not immediately Overwolf or whatever saying that add-ons won't show up. Add-on authors can choose whether or not those things show up. So that way, this is me trying to describe another perspective. So that way, it's kind of like it's kind of on authors to decide. Okay, cool. I'm going to have this thing available on Azure or WowUp, but I'm okay with not making extra money off of that. So they can choose either or. Chances are fair that they'll choose to opt to try to get more money, but it sucks for users who are like, oh, great, now I gotta do some extra clicks and go to the website and then download it and then manually install it, which is fine too. This is not an instance where you cannot manually download add-ons, or you can't, or in the case of DBM Mystical OS, you can go other places to download their stuff because he uploads to other places too. He uploads to, his GitHub is available. He uploads to I think WoW Interface and some other stuff too. So, but he's also really big and he makes his money. And according to a post from him, and I think I may be able to get to read this later. He does make a decent amount of cash from Overwolf and Curseforge, but he distributes elsewhere too. So what does this mean for Azure? He says, well, it kills my motivation and it kills my vision for Azure. I don't want to fight with Overwolf anymore. It's just not worth it. Overwolf has all the data, which makes Azure work, and currently they are pulling the rug from under us. We had a good run, but now it's time for the team and me to pull the plug rather than obey their rules and turn Azure into something worse. Thank you. What happens now? Whatever. And let's move on to the rest of the article. So along the likes of WowUp InstaWow, which I never heard of, and Cursebreaker, Azure has become a popular tool for players to manage their in-game add-ons following Overwolf's acquisition of Curseforge last year. Although framed as a good thing for developers, with the company pledging to dramatically increase add-on author profits, many users were not keen to support them due to concerns of inefficiency and data collection, aka their reputation. As a result, the popularity of third-party managers has risen dramatically, but it comes at a financial cost for Overwolf, which has pushed them to come up with new ways to disincentivize third parties. Last year, Overwolf sent WoW up an unofficial cease and desist while releasing a blog post outlining the ways third-party tools hurt their business and add-on creators. But the arms race has reached a tipping point, and Overwolf's API roadmap now threatens to turn add-on authors against third-party add-on managers directly. Kind of. I don't know if it's that direct, but these are articles. We all have opinions, so on and so forth. So the way that, to kind of summarize, the way that Overwolf is hurt by this sort of thing, and indirectly / directly, I guess add-on authors are hurt by these third-party managers. These third-party managers, they just kind of piggyback on top of Overwolf's and Curseforge's platform. I had a good analogy. I'm sure you guys can think of one. I can't think of one live. But I had something good where, basically the likes of Azure and WoWup, they just use their platform to, they use their bandwidth, they use their API, they use their search and their searchability, and they take money for it. Saying, hey, Overwolf is and Curseforge, like, they suck, but we're using Overwolf and Curseforge to get all these downloads, and we're using their bandwidth and their storage and other such things. Now, I believe that WoWup is trying to host their own selection of add-ons, but it's a very small piece of the pie compared to Curseforge. But because of that, WoWup is having to shell out because the bandwidth this is all about money, folks, and unfortunately, it takes money to to host these sorts of things and to pay for the bandwidth to download these sorts of things. And up until, I guess, recently, it was okay for these add-on managers to kind of siphon off of the likes of Curseforge and Overwolf, which in turn kind of takes away money from these creators. Now I think there were solutions, and I'll touch more on this a little bit more later. There were possible solutions where Overwolf could work better with add-on creators. With these third-party managers to somehow monetize, and so that way everyone gets their piece of the pie. Unfortunately, they decided to not go that route. So this right here is kind of the roadmap of when things are going to happen. So they announced the API thing just recently. In February. That's when the old API is going to be deprecated. So let's see. I think I have WoWup open. So here's some stuff. Here's WoWup, and you can see kind of. I don't think I can zoom this in, can I? Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, look at that. WoWup's great. You can see here that you can see the provider here, Curse, WoWup Hub. In order for this thing to maintain itself, all these things that are on Curse will need to go away, or we won't be able to necessarily download from Curse. Okay, let me take that back. We can download from Curse if these add-on authors say yes, they can download from places outside of Curse, knowing that they're not going to be making any money from these downloads here. Otherwise, everything here is going to have to come from WoW interface can be one. I think they're still fine. WoWup Hub. So what add-on? Venture Plan. So there's a very limited number of add-ons right now that are hosted directly from WoWup. In order for them to really maintain what they do, they're going to have to pony up the cash themselves. They're not going to be able to rely on someone else to do it. Another option that they have too is that they can rely on GitHub, but not everyone uses GitHub either. Most everyone uses Curseforge to host all the things. So let's read the article again. As seen in the roadmap above, downloads from third-party managers like Azure will no longer count towards the Curseforge rewards program, meaning add-on authors won't see any profits from these downloads. While the impact on Overwolf's business cannot be denied, this seems as though it will inevitably sour add-on developer relations with those managers. If they want to see profit from their work, developers will have no choice but to direct users to download from Curseforge directly. This will be solidified by a new licensing toggle, which will allow, I mentioned this earlier, which will allow add-on authors to dictate whether their add-ons can be accessed by the third-party managers whatsoever, a choice which is somewhat forced for anyone looking to profit from their work. Now, again, a big user like, a big add-on like DBM, maybe they won't care, maybe they will, because they know that, hey, this is money that I could be making otherwise. It's just a matter of inconveniencing the users a little bit more by being directed to their website. So one of the things that I'm not sure about that I tried looking for and I wasn't able to find information on it is if I go here, if I go to WoWup and I want to look, if I want to download the latest version of BlizzMove. Now I can that's a bad example. Let's try Biomall. So here, if there is at least a prompt here, like if I can't download directly from WoWup, that's one thing. At the very least, though, I would like to see, there's a new version available. If it at least gives us that alert, then that kind of makes me feel a little bit better, because at least I'm informed that, hey, there's a new version. Or like if it says here that it can track like whether or not there are new versions, and then it's like, okay, cool, then I just need to go to the website and then download it manually and do all that stuff. That's fine. Now let me, I should disclose too, I'm not being paid for covering this. I do this because this is like just insane and I want to cover it, but I do subscribe to Curseforge. It's like $3 a month or some shit like that, and that's it. It just runs in the background, and it's ridiculously easy, and it starts up like pretty darn fast. And I forgot how to. I think I need to close some of this stuff. Yeah, and it just works. I don't have if you don't pay, there's an ad that appears here. You don't even hear it. And that's it. That's how it works. The biggest weakness, I would say, is that you cannot, you can't add third-party locations. So if I want to update Rare Scanner, or if I want to update like one of these add-ons and they have it on GitHub, I can't link like the GitHub link and have the uploads. Have it sourced there if I want to get uploads from there or updates from that. Kind of a bummer, but oh well. That's another thing. Let's see. So this is an example of what Curseforge is talking about, where you can just hit this toggle and say, hey, you know what? I want to let this thing be downloaded from outside of Curseforge and Overwolf, or not. Unless they can find another way around it, third-party managers wishing to continue under these new changes will need to submit a form and agree to Overwolf's third-party API terms of service, which stipulate that the use of their API cannot be monetized, which is big. So I even tried to find out like whether or not it's like this really hard requirement, because there is a question here. Are you looking to monetize the project through ads, subs, donations, or any other method? Now, I tested out this form, and I was able to submit the form. It didn't immediately say, well, since you said yes, you're not going to be able to do this. You're like totally screwed. It let me submit this form anyway. But yeah, that is like, that's a big thing. Something so that third-party developers can't conceivably use Curseforge's add-on database to generate revenue themselves, presumably to ensure that managers don't offer to pay add-on creators for the downloads that would have counted towards Curseforge's rewards program. So it's like saying that WoWup can't be its own Curseforge if they want to use their API, which kind of makes sense, right? Again, I'm bad with analogies, but it's like you can't make your own sort of network, but then use ours, but still call it yours. Somewhere in there might be the word theft or copyright or patent infringement or something like that. But basically, you can't do. If you want to do it, you're on your own, is what Curseforge and Overwolf is saying to these folks, which I think kind of makes sense. I'll get to reading some comments in a little bit. Something, and eventually limit download rates for third party tools, which is unfortunate, but it's definitely within their power to do that. Rather than work under these new conditions, Azure has perhaps wisely decided that the only way to win is to simply not play. It's not clear what other add-on managers will do, but to be clear, this affects more than just World of Warcraft. Curseforge is the main add-on repository for several games, including Minecraft, and many of the larger add-on creators rely on it as a primary means of income. This places them and their users in a very precarious situation of having to choose between actually supporting add-on creators and supporting more free access third-party managers. The only way out of this conflict is installing add-ons manually without using Overwolf's app or any third-party manager to scrape the Curseforge's database, and although it is actually a fairly simple process, it also requires a bit more effort to manage on your own. So let's see. Overwolf. Like it runs, it runs in the background, but it's like, it's there. It's there somewhere. And this, while the browser does take up memory, some extra memory, it's hard to see. I don't think I can zoom this in, can I? No. So Overwolf, normally it uses about $180, 180 so megs of memory. WoW is at 192. It's actually not that far off at all, but maybe because I have that browser thing open, maybe that causes it to go up by a little bit. But yeah, you can see both clients, are kind of getting there. That they're a little bit more even with how much memory that they happen to use. So anyway, WoW isn't the only thing that Overwolf works with. They work with League of Legends, they work with Hearthstone, Valorant, Rainbow Six, Dota. I think there's some other stuff. Yeah, there's other games that it works with, New World, Minimap, so they do all sorts of stuff, not just WoW. So doomsayers that are oh, well, WoW's dying anyway, so Overwolf's going to go out of business. No, Overwolf has been doing this for years. So they're going to keep doing this stuff anyway. But the reactions from folks, the reactions from folks have been super colorful, I would say. And unfortunately for them, none of them have been grounded on facts at all. A lot of the concerns that I've seen from folks have been related to Overwolf's reputation prior to 2020, which have been addressed in some way, shape, or form, but just lots of cringy takes. One of the takes, though, that funny enough, it evaded most people's notice in the comments here, is that there was a statement from this person, Mystical OS, the creator of Deadly Boss Mods. He doesn't straight up say anything. He doesn't say, "Hey, look at me. I'm this person," but I know who he is. So this was a response to someone to the first comment saying that Overwolf sucks. The Twitch app was so much better. So I'm gonna read his perspective on this whole matter. Genuinely laughed out loud when I read that. The Twitch app was a bug-rated pile of dung that add-on authors spent countless hours helping users troubleshoot because of it. Most common one was installing add-ons for the wrong game version. The Overwolf manager has actually been pretty decent. Sometimes it's slow to pick up new features like multi-TOC support, as in version support, but they genuinely care if the app actually works. Twitch never cared if an app worked because the only reason they even bought it in the first place was to cannibalize the client to try and launch a Discord competitor with Twitch communities. When that flopped, they dumped Curseforge. They never cared about that add-on part whatsoever. As for the API changes, good riddance. I wasted just as much time providing support for when these updaters screwed up add-on installs that I did when Twitch did it, especially WoW-up issues. Even now, I see users with bad mod installs because they don't use a manager that actually knows how to auto-remove depreciated folders when they are removed or renamed. Also, it was genuinely never cool that these updaters were giving users subpar updates with scare tactics about Overwolf, and then asking money for it without contributing so much as a cent to actual authors. Instead, they were making Overwolf pay for it by using their bandwidth and API. It was straight up double thievery. Again, his perspective. By no means am I an Overwolf shill or think that they're perfect. There's a reason why my add-ons are also available on GitHub, Wago, and WoW Interface. They were no more the devil than any other honest business. The third-party managers, though, were straight up man-in-the-middle vultures. His perspective. And something that I can definitely understand. Like, if you're trying to make a thing, and you make a thing and it seems pretty cool, and you want to promote it like somewhere, and you put it up on Curse or wherever, like when you first get started, you're making like pennies on the dollar. You're not making a whole lot of money at all. And I don't have experience with making add-ons. I don't know what it's like to be part of that space or that community, but it would really depress me if I were to see something like, okay, cool, I see that a lot of people are downloading this, but why is it that on Curseforge I'm only seeing like less than half of what I think that I should be making because people are getting it from like other places. Now, the fact that we can, I guess I'm just baffled by this. I'm baffled by the disinformation, because there's like some folks that are saying, oh yeah, Overwolf is a fucking crypto miner. that was the one that I saw starting to take off in the comments, and I'm like, say what? So I looked into it. I was looking into it, and what I saw was, here, I'll pull it up. I will pull it up. I got to do a search for something, and I will pull up a thing called buff. So I think this is what they're talking about. Can I zoom? Please let me zoom. You don't let me zoom? WoW Up lets me zoom. This doesn't let me zoom. Inferior product. So anyway, this right here is it is an app inside the Overwolf client. When you download it and you let it run in the background, it's a miner. It's a crypto miner. You just kind of play games and you do your thing. This thing will take a small amount of bandwidth or processing power, use it to mine, presumably. This is just me guessing here. Presumably to mine stuff, and then you get credits, and you can spend these credits on things. So they keep the actual cash. You get like you get this credit to like buy games and other such things. This, I think, is what people are relying on, or this is the crux of their argument that Overwolf is a crypto miner. Or you can not install it if you don't want to. Or you can alternatively get on Steam and you can download one of their background crypto miners that you could just, have running in the background while you play games, and then you use their thing to, get credits so you can buy stuff. Or again, you can just not install it. I had to search for it. I have to click the button to install it, probably have to agree to some shit, and then that's it. Is this a crypto miner? No, it's just an app that you can download from like anywhere. It just happens to be on this client. There's some shit over like what sort of privacy things that God, where is it? Where is this thing? Overwolf settings. There's a thing about what all the data that they grab from you. So let me go over it. You can't zoom. Fucking client. That's why this client is inferior. I will read it out for you folks. I will do my best. How we use your data. These settings allow you to control how Overwolf uses your data. Data collected from apps is not affected by these settings and is governed by the apps independently. And by apps, we're talking about these things. All these different things that you can get. Let me go away, search thing. I just want to look at the games or the apps or whatever these things are. So I have one app, Curseforge. There it is. that is the app. And then there's like all these other different things that you can get. Warcraft Logs Companion. Oh, that's right. I heard about that. Yeah, they have this Warcraft Logs thing. And there's like some other shit too. But yeah, back to this. I want to turn that off. Use data to optimize performance and stability. This setting allows us to use and process diagnostic data as well as information about your computer hardware and how it performs when using Overwolf. Analyzing this data helps Overwolf and apps bring you the best gaming experience. I don't like that they have their own browser. Can I zoom here? Okay, here I can zoom. Great. And here's a bit more detail. Data related to performance and stability allows us to better understand the capabilities of each system and how we can optimize our client to better suit them, make the Overwolf client as sleek and lightweight as possible, and generally improve and catch some nasty bugs. The data collected here includes details on the hardware that you use, how your system performs when playing games, and crash reports for stability purposes. So yes, they are going to find out like just like most other gaming apps and most other apps, they're going to find out like things like exactly what hardware you use, as well as system performance when you're doing certain things. And then there's like another one. Okay, they use data to customize Overwolf for you. This setting allows us to use and process analytical information regarding how you use Overwolf and apps. Again, the inside apps and what games you play. Which are linked to the apps that you use. It allows us to improve existing features, include you in new features we test, and customize your experience. Let's learn more. Yeah. Okay. Customization data is used to make Overwolf more suited for your needs. We use this data to give you recommendations that are relevant to you. And wait, is that it? Okay. And include you in testing new features that could make Overwolf even more epic. The data collected here includes the apps that you use, the games that you play, video capture preferences, experiments you participate in, and so on and so forth. Video capture preferences? My God, they even get our video stuff? No, they don't. So they have their own capture stuff, which I haven't downloaded. That sounds frightening. I'm not going to use that. But these are relevant for things that are inside of their space. So their apps, their capture software, their features, their things. You don't do those things, then that's pretty much it. And then there's one more thing that they look at. Now these two things are optional anyway. So, it's been off, but there's like this little toggle here on the side. It's hard to see. I apologize. Again, their damn fault. They don't resize stuff. Can you fix that, please? Thanks. And then finally, there's this non-optional one. Use data to make Overwolf work. In order to provide you the basic Overwolf service, we need to store and process some data, such as what apps you install and use, your app subscriptions, as well as privacy and settings configuration. By using Overwolf, you allow us to provide you with this basic service. You can stop this by uninstalling Overwolf. That sounds so draconian until you kind of think about what that means. The apps that you install and use, again, it's not like apps on your Windows machine or your iOS machine. It's stuff that you use here. It's Curseforge. So this is only talking about Curseforge and other apps that you use inside of it. It's like saying, Overwolf, you're not allowed to see that I'm using your client. And I don't see how that makes sense. It's like, Overwolf, you're not allowed to see what apps that I'm using, so you're not allowed to tell me what apps that I have and don't have. That's kind of what these folks are saying. App subscriptions, again, it's just like not Curseforge, but like other apps, as well as privacy and settings configuration, which is these toggles right here. So this is us saying, yes, Overwolf, you can remember my settings here. You cannot just turn these things back on. You must remember my preferences, and that's it. And then I have everything else off. Today I even requested my data because I'm curious. I want to find out what do they know. But it's going to take a while. So maybe at some other point when I get an email with whatever this data is, then if it's exciting, maybe I'll talk about it, and that might be kind of cool. And that's it. This is what the client does. It just double checks what add-ons you have. This is where you have no privacy. It needs to find out what add-ons you have. It needs to find out if they're up to date, and then it talks to you. So the whole privacy thing, it's as intrusive as any other online application that has to like check for stuff. So I did say that, Asder. I'll look at comments and I'll start going through in a bit. But that was something that I submitted as a bug. I said, hey, you know what? I think we should have the option to turn them on or off by default. But when you look at what these things are, this has stuff to do mostly with things that you can, as soon as you install this and run it for the first time, you can turn these things off and then that's it. It's not like they're getting a snapshot of much of anything the moment that you install it, because it's not even useful information. It's trying to get, hey, how does your system handle running like all these this game with this application? Is it running okay? And I think that's kind of important to point out. Like if let's say a certain add-on, like if Curseforge was running really high, they want to know that. If it's running at the same time as WoW, they want to know ways to like better optimize. And I remember the load time for Curseforge was kind of slow. It's fast as fuck now. So things have gotten better. Even then though, you can opt out of it like right away. So that way they don't get any other like new information from you. Or if you're really, I'm not quite sure, but maybe if I install this client, like, because I'm subscribed and everything, but if I install this client on another system and then log in, will it save these settings? I'm not sure. It sounds like it should based on this information here, but I'm also telling it to not remember certain things. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, let's read some of your guys' comments. That's important. I might have missed a lot of stuff. I'm not sure. Curvewave Fitness says, with big companies pulling stuff like this, I'm thinking you're talking about Activision Blizzard, I'm staying indie if I work in the gaming industry. So I hate to break it to you, but just because you're indie does not mean that you avoid bad actors and harassment and that sort of thing. It is definitely still there. Let's see. Yeah, just a word of warning there. Once HR recommends to terminate, it's not going to be good optics to go against that. No, that's really bad, I think. I switched from WoW up to Curse. It was staying out of date. It was staying out of date all the time with WoW up. I'd rather install add-ons manually rather than using Overwolf. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. Hi, Menarg. Is there any way you can send relevant or interesting video ideas? Discord would be the best way to do it. Overwolf is loaded with bloatware and advertisements. Throughout this little exercise of mine, I haven't seen... Now, again, I'm paying for it. I haven't seen a single thing of bloat. Nothing that's trying to intrude on me. It is taking up as much memory as like anything. Let's see, what's WoW up at? WoW up is at $1.95. Overwolf is running high, you bastard. Oh, I should close stuff though, huh? The browser takes up a lot of stuff. Like, because I think if I run it normally, if it's just running normally in the background, then it's running like, I don't know, 200 or something. But even then, the common practice, load it up, update the stuff, close it, if you're memory minded. I'm a spoiled brat. I have way too much RAM. But you don't need to go that route. Let's see. The DBM author said that WoW app and third-party managers are basically just taking money for no work from the add-on creator. That's something that I'm a little worried about, though. Is the narrative that's being written here? From one perspective is going to say, oh, this is putting add-on creators versus the third-party managers. But ultimately, it's all about money, and Overwolf is kind of cleverly maneuvering themselves in such a way that, hey, we're just trying to protect the revenue of the creators. I don't recall what the cut was. I think it was supposed to be 70-30 in favor of the creators. I'm also hearing that there might be competitors that are trying to do like an 80-20 split or something like that, but of course they're like way smaller, and they need to start from the ground up. But competition is always good, in my opinion. Most add-ons work even without updating for a long time. I will stay manual for the features. Oh, that's totally fine. But not all the time does that work so great. Not all add-ons work. As soon as a patch comes in, that's when most add-ons break, and some people they'll figure out manual updates. Like, for example, one of the add-ons that I use for tooltips is called TipTac. That unfortunately hasn't been updated ever since before Shadowlands launched, and so some people have gone in to like do their little manual updates, and you can find them on GitHub and other such things, and that's fine. That's totally fine. If you want to update them manually, that there's no problem with that. I do feel like the focus shouldn't be on Overwolf or Curseforge necessarily, but just the add-on authors. How do we help them thrive? How do we help them continue on? And as much as you might not like it, Overwolf's reward system is probably the easiest thing to immediately get into, because not everyone can be like, okay, I'm gonna sign up for the Patreon for every single add-on that I use. We live in an add-on sort of culture where we're just used to like just using whatever we feel like. I want to try out this thing. I want to use this. I want to use this and all this stuff. And feel like we shouldn't need to pay for it, and that's fine. Curseforge and Overwolf, they provide a path to where our behavior as users doesn't need to change really. We can have this thing run every now and then just minimize it, and then we're good to go. There's no ads. No, even when I wasn't subscribed to it, there has not been like a sudden advertisement that would play in the background. I wouldn't hear anything. I wouldn't see anything. I haven't noticed my internet connection suddenly taking a dump because the Overwolf client was like doing some shit. Correct me if I'm wrong, Activision Blizzard changed their EULA and always has tried to ban add-ons that try to make money out of WoW without them involving into it, if not giving them all of the share. So here's how it works. Here's how all this this workaround with monetization and all that stuff works. So Blizzard has a pretty hard rule where add-ons in-game cannot show advertisements. Pretty simple. You can't have an advertisement for your Patreon. You can't have or a PayPal thing. You can't offer a subscription in-game or anything like that. Outside of the game, though, you can do almost whatever you want. Like, you can say, hey guys, I'm offering not exactly you can't offer a premium service either, which was kind of a big story a couple months back. But it's pretty cut and dry. You just can't advertise. You can't put ads in game. Like third-party ads. Those sorts of things. Those things just don't fly. I had a bad experience with Overwolf in the past, but the app for add-ons is really good, says Bernard. For example, some of the add-ons are hard on Blizzard's radar for selling premium versions of their add-ons. Yeah, there are a few add-ons, none that I can recall off the top of my head, where it's like, Okay, we'll provide like the foundation of the add-on. I think it had something to do with leveling, something like that. Where, cool, it provides like the basic service, but if you pay a subscription fee, then we'll give you access to like all the other stuff. And I know, and I don't know what the legal wrangling was in order for that lets them get away with it, but I think they're getting away with it. All the griping and moaning, Betty says. I mean, add-on devs should get paid for their work one way or another. At least Overwolf keeps it free for the players, and that's the big takeaway that I'm just like, why don't people get it? We don't need to pay for a damn thing. Now, there are concerns about privacy. I hope that I addressed them in some of the things that I talked about here and mentioned exactly what they do. Ever since this whole Overwolf thing happened, I've been looking around and I failed to find an instance where, yes, the Curseforge client and the Overwolf client is bloatware and whatever. Because if it was, we would have found that shit out. Well, okay, we found it out before. But ever since that has been resolved, and it mostly had to do with advertising networks, if I recall correctly. Ever since that was cleaned up, I haven't heard of any like major issues. The one thing that I saw, I think it was from MMO Champion, and they were trying to find like some article to dunk them on. They're like, yeah, like Overwolf literally has these security vulnerabilities and blah, blah, blah. All the article was it was a security vulnerability that was found by one of those white hat firms that look specifically for those sorts of vulnerabilities. They found it, they reported it to the Overwolf team, and within a couple of days, it was fixed. End of story. Apart from this white hat firm saying that, hey, they did a good job of responding and being cooperative and working with us, and then it was resolved, and then that was it. So it was actually a story of what the Overwolf team did right, which was to correct vulnerabilities, because in software, crazy, but it happens. Nobody's perfect. Modi says, I use it and the ad on the side is totally fine. Yeah, yeah. I also install some add-ons even if I have them disabled specifically, so my money goes to some of those creators. Alligator says the Overwolf app is kind of a resource hog, though. I do wish they would streamline it. Now, let me see how's it running now. 354. Let me do a full restart of this thing. Let's close the Overwolf guy, and I'm just gonna run Curseforge. Boom. Now loading. Right, because the Overwolf client runs in the background. Hopefully it doesn't do anything. So from what I've seen so far, it doesn't do anything. Then it runs, and then it does its refresh, and then I do my update, and then I can close it right now if I wanted to. Let me see what the preferences are. When I close Curseforge, here we go. When I close Curseforge, I'll close it all, baby. So let's do that. All right, so it's running right now. So it's running high again. So let's close this guy, and then that's it. It's just gone. Bye. Run it again. Yeah, it's running really high right now, which is lame. Makes a bad example out of them. But I have noticed that after a while, when it stops running, or when it stops running high, then it like closes hella stuff. So right now it's running like, oh, what are all these browser things doing? It's uploaded all my information. I don't know what it's doing. So feel free to write your own narrative there. I wouldn't really know what to say. As far as I know, it's against the EULA of Activision Blizzard that they want money from you to give you a better conditions for add-on download, because that way they profit from I don't really get what you're saying there, Simcoe. Well, people can always install an add-on. People can always install and update add-ons manually, like once a month. It's no big deal. Yes, that's it. It's really not a big deal. Now, of course, you're going to what you can do, you can just go to Curseforge and have your add-on blockers on, update them manually, and the add-on creator will get credit. They'll get credited for that download. Now, the way the ad share works is that it's like this 70 to 30 or something split, where and that's based on all the advertising revenue that they get. So if if everyone has ad blockers on, obviously it's a smaller piece of the pie, but that's the reality of things. People run ad blockers. So Overwolf is really a crypto miner? No, it's not. Unless you want it to be. Let's see. Let's see. Games of keys they got for free or even hacked. Oh, you're talking about with like Buff and like some of those other app things. Now that's true too. Like, but that has nothing to do with whoever's hosting it. That has entirely to do with like those sorts of weird credit / mining services. Like if they get their game keys illegally or whatever, that's like a different thing. That's like totally on them. Negus hates Overwolf from the day where TeamSpeak got involved with them. Back in the day, people warned about Overwolf already. So the coverage that I'm trying to do on Overwolf is now, not before. If we base everything on like prior reputation, then we wouldn't get anywhere. Like I said earlier in the stream, I believe in a redemption story. A good redemption story. I believe that people can, I believe people and companies can improve. And at least from what I've seen so far, what I've seen from like this client, it seems fine. It seems very benign compared to like other things that you can do. Where's the opt-outs? Yep, there's an opt-out. In Windows, you can't know for sure whether the app tracks some data or not. I wish Windows OS would implement some of Android's features with their per-app permissions. My only take is that if there was a big problem with the Curseforge client, then we would have seen it already. Someone would have reported it because it would have been spicy. And it would have been like all over, and people would have gotten the clicks out of that. Instead, these clicks are just coming from rubble, fear-mongering, don't support them, and so on and so forth. But I think the focus should not be on them. It should be on just the add-on authors. How do we support them better? Can you think of a better thing than Overwolf or Curseforge? I don't know. Honestly, in this day and age, Betty says privacy is an illusion, especially if you own a smartphone. I mean, I get that people want to limit their, they want to be able to limit what they share on the internet whenever they can. But here's your choice to make that bit of a sacrifice. Do I want the man to know what games I'm playing? That is basically what's being asked here. Let's see. IT fact from knowledge regarding Overwolf looking into your PC. They can't. Even basic Windows security will always ask you if you want to open up your system for such data collection. Most antivirus or firewall programs flat out block those attempts without you even noticing. I don't know any better. I'll just nod my head. I would still love more control over my OS. There are so many processes running in Task Manager. I want to know what they do and turn them off if necessary. I know I'm not smart enough to know any better. Just asking, I have no strict complaint about security or privacy. My issue was the terrible UI and entire extra program that came with Curse for no good reason. What's running now? So it's still running the browser. What if I just end that? Nope, it ended everything. Oh, it killed it all. Whoa. That's what you get. Okay, so I'll just minimize that for now. And then we'll see how that goes. What's up, Draken? let's see. You don't want to know what they do because you wouldn't understand, says Syncope. I'm trained in IT and I don't even understand it. Minark says that, the whole thing about getting your data is so overblown. Why would I care that someone else knows that I browse Twitter or watch YouTube videos? To be clear, they're not seeing that. At least they say that they're not seeing that. They do it to throw ads, and I probably like my way, so the way that, okay, I do need to open it. The way that it works is that the likes of Overwolf, Curseforge, and other such places, they'll rely mostly on like Google to get a sense of what it is that your preferences are. So if you're exposed to Google, then you're gonna see what Google knows about you, and you're gonna see it right here in some random ass ads trying to get your attention, and they probably won't get your attention. And that's it. I'm 30 minutes behind on chat. Yeah, I am. I would be super happy if they knew my preferences better, so I could actually get something I'm interested in instead of the random garbage that it shows me, because now I have an antivirus. It's kind of like when you're looking at YouTube and you're looking at random, you look at a couple videos and then the algorithm starts to show you things that are kind of related to that. You agree to have that sort of data tracked, based on your preferences to improve your experience. I'm going to try and skim. Blizzard should make an add-on update manager client ideally. That would be a disaster. Absolute disaster. And here's why. Coffee. That's why. It would be on the onus of Blizzard to help monetize that. That would be one of the big things. Because they, like Curseforge, like GitHub, like WoW Interface, they got to pay for the bandwidth somehow. You don't just do it for free. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. These ISPs and whatnot, they're going to charge X amount for this amount of for this amount of data and the storage and all, and on top of that, they'll also need to make an entire team, basically a Curseforge / Overwolf / Twitch team to manage all these add-ons and requests, and they'll probably try to automate, and they'll have to engineer stuff in order to automate this sort of stuff. They're gonna have to start from the ground up, just like Curseforge did. And even more so, there would be the an alarm go. There would be the question of monetization. How would that work? Will there be instances where this Blizzard add-on management client, would they feature stuff? Would there be other incentives, things like that? It's kind of like what they did with StarCraft, I believe, for a minute. For about a minute, they did something where they had premium maps and people paid for them and stuff like that. This wouldn't be the same thing, but it kind of runs along the same parallel of having user-created content be promoted by the game. And from that, there would be separate terms of service agreements. There would be there'd be sorts of agreements of integrity. Since you're going to be part of this, you need to. Your tweets need to reflect a certain behavior or a certain decorum and things like that. It's going to be really restrictive, I think. It would be a big investment to something that I don't believe is worth it, which is why they try to stay hands off mostly. Their only concern is don't have ads in the games, don't create things that can cause problems for other clients, which we've seen in the past with weak auras that do some weird shit like that. Don't do stuff like that, and we're okay. We'll let we'll leave it to the add-on community. That's what this whole thing is. Add-ons are a result of bad UI or services player wants in a game that aren't provided by the game, like advanced UI, chat, informations on items and such. Add-ons are just, I don't want to say bad UI, because some people, they use the stock UI like just fine. It's just a matter of, hey, I want that customization. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's anything malicious about it. If Blizzard hosted add-ons, they'd have to support them, and at that point, they might as well integrate the popular ones into the game. I prefer add-ons being user-based, and they deserve to be compensated for their time and work. What has Overwolf done now? Nothing. Nothing major. You know what's a bad example? Running Overwolf when all I need is Curse, and it did work without it when they bought it. Well, it was Curse and then it was Twitch. So you didn't have Curse after Twitch came out, because that was gone. So then it was Twitch. And to me, Twitch was bloated as fuck. It had like videos that were trying to run. I would open it and then I would see like streams trying to go. There were like what is it? You know, like what others have said, it was trying to be its own little community Discord sort of thing, because you had like your friends list, and then you can try to message people there, and people tried to message me on there, and it was whack. I did not like it. To me, like that was something that I just opened and closed right away, because all it did was just like bog my shit down. I think Mike says that I think when it comes to compensating people for work on add-ons, it's that it is an inherently free service for the end user, and people for the most part don't like to pay for things that were originally free, but it is unfair to expect add-on developers to do it for free. That's the conundrum, right? We want these add-ons to work and always work, and we rely on smart people to develop and make these things work all the time and to update them, and I don't want to pay for it. Something's got to give somewhere, right? And that's why I keep going back to why the Curseforge client works, because you're not paying for it, fucking someone else is, so they can get those advertisements up. You know, we're using someone else's money so that we can do stuff for free. Same thing like YouTube. I don't force people to be like, you've gotta subscribe and pay like this much a month. No, advertisers do that shit for you. You know, all you got to do is watch, even though you have your ad blockers on, you jackals. But it's totally okay. Let's see. My Freudian slip shows that your team Sylvanas, its redemption story is all the way down. Oh, please. I'm hoping that Sylvanas saves everyone, rescues Nathanos, and they all like make out and, you know, just get all nasty. That's gonna be the end game cinematic. You know, it's, you know, we beat the bad guys, Nathanos and Sylvanas, they embrace, and then for the next 2.5 minutes they just kiss and make out and roll all over the ground and stuff. Let's see. Streamlabs is a resource hog. Kill it. Okay. Boo. Stream over. Is it possible people don't like Overwolf because it's different? I think people don't like it because of their reputation. Because of what other people are telling them, and not what they're looking at for themselves. That's it. That's where I think all of this comes from. It is the fear that has taken hold from folks. I mean, just like I don't believe that the people at WoW Up and Azure and whatnot, I don't believe that they're malicious at all. But here's me sensationalizing their perspective. Okay, this isn't really me dissing, but it's like what the Mystical OS said. These folks, they are using someone else's API, someone else's bandwidth and storage, and at the same time telling people, oh yeah, they're evil, they're bad, you should use us instead, and you should donate so I can keep doing updates and stuff like that, which is a reasonable ask. But you're also like dogging on the systems and the work that you didn't do, the bandwidth that you don't have. you're bashing on it, but you need it at the same time, and I find that to be a bit hypocritical. The browser is just how they manage the different tabs of the Curse Manager. If you close one, it's like you cut the controls from your character in WoW. The game realizes that something is wrong with the state of the program and closes it all. People are worried about their data being farmed, and then they're on Twitch. I mean, it's okay if you're, it's that whole, I participate in society meme or whatever that is. It's okay to be critical of, or it's okay to be concerned about your data privacy. However, I don't think that your data privacy is actually at risk here. That's all. Stop typing. Let me catch up. Am I that bad? Jesus. I like Overwolf. I open it. I do quick updates that I need, and then I close it. Easy. Yeah, that's all it is for me. Hey, I did catch up. Okay. Why should people think and waste that 20% of oxygen for brain power when they can outsource it, thinking to those that shout the loudest? You can have it shut down completely. Yeah, like I was doing it just now. So you can write again. Yay. I think I forget if I don't know if there was more that I wanted to say about this. I guess the power here is with the creators, and that's what Overwolf is trying to do. I admit that they are like hiding behind add-on creators too, but it also makes sense, right? Add-on creators should have the control that they deserve. Somewhere in those articles, the Overwolf team noted that, hey, you know what? If you're having a problem, like if your add-on is being distributed in a place that you don't want it to be distributed in, you can DMCA takedown those things because it's being distributed in a place that you don't approve of. It's totally within their rights. So whenever there are questions of legality, I think that's the space that that sort of conversation is in. That they should be able, these add-on creators, they should have full control over where their stuff is distributed. So that's why there's that toggle. Okay, cool. I can choose to have my add-on distributed from other places, knowing with the full knowledge that I will not make money off of those downloads and updates and re-uploads or whatever. And I think that's a cool thing that they have that sort of agency. Of course, these add-on creators can also upload their stuff like Mystical OS. They can upload from other places that don't have these sort of restrictions and can rely on things like Patreon and PayPal and donations and other such things. That's fine. At the moment, the status quo asserts that they don't have that choice. And right now, their work is being used without due credit being given to them. I hope that makes sense. So if I'm arguing for anything, it's for this. I'm trying to argue for the sake of the creators, knowing that a solution like this is not perfect at all, but it might be the best thing that we can come up with. Because can you think of something better? I'll run to the loo, and maybe you guys will think of something better in the next minute or so. Because you guys are so smart. I'm not even being sarcastic. You guys are great. If I was if I was a world famous content creator and posted videos and they got millions of views, or tons and tons of views, or if I was a musician, if I was an artist and created cool things, but then someone were to take that music and then post it somewhere and monetize off of that, I'd be pissed. And I would want to protect the work that I put in, and I wouldn't want some bum-ass mooch to make money off of my work. Right? That's kind of what's happening here. Or that's kind of what has been happening. And what Curseforge and Overwolf is trying to kind of navigate through, knowing that it still happens, right? And what they're trying to do is offer creators that choice. If you want your stuff to be distributed, however, through third-party means, it's your choice. And that's it. That's kind of, yeah. Right? As for the privacy things, I really don't. Unless I see something, unless I see a report from a security firm or, New York Times or whatever, talking about, hey, this is what's been going on, I'm not going to give in to the fear. I'm not going to give in to old articles that aren't relevant anymore. I'm going to look at what's going on right now. And so we looked at some of this stuff together and tried to demonstrate our understanding as best as we could, knowing that it's not perfect. But there are so many other smarter people out there that haven't seen anything. And there are other people, period, that are saying all sorts of other stuff. So who are you going to believe? The headcanon or the facts, which right now there are none because no one's really said anything or no one's really reported anything. So it's your choice. Download the stuff, use GitHub, whatever. But I could still see a world where third-party add-on managers can still thrive. Kind of. The really tough part that I noticed was Overwolf's assertion that third-party managers can't monetize at all. I want to think that my understanding is they can't make a Curseforge competitor. They can't make an Overwolf competitor where they pay out based on downloads. They can't do that if they want to use that API at the same time. But as for asking for like donations and Patreon stuff and all that, I think it kind of depends too. Like if the Patreon is just designed to be like, hey, help me out, please, and like that's it, I think that'd be really benign. I don't think that there is a problem with asking for donations. I would say that there's a problem if they're asking for if you have to sign up for their Patreon in order to use the service or to use an enhanced version of the service. Then I would have a big problem with something like that. And I'm guessing that's why Curseforge is gonna threaten to like throttle and do stuff like that too. So, who said they have to use Overwolf's API? They could create their own. They also have to host. They also have to host it and store everything and spend all the bandwidth and create a structure for add-on creators to upload their stuff. That's it. That's nothing. I'm just kidding. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can afford to do that. But I am a world famous content creator too. People do prefer the headcanon. You know why? Because it makes them feel better. When I make content, now I'm turning this over to me. I typically don't make content to appease people. I don't make it to validate your feelings or to validate my own necessarily. I like to present information and I like to kind of challenge people. Not even as a devil's advocate. Like sometimes this is just how I really feel about things. Sometimes I just won't agree, and I'll give that sort of honest opinion. Here's a preview. Next week, 6 days from now, approximately 6 days from now, is going to be the 1 year anniversary of Shadowlands. Ooh. And I'm going to ask and answer the question, 1 year later, is Shadowlands an expansion that's worth picking up? And I'm going to be very specific on my perspective. I'm not talking about folks like you and me that might have been walking the journey as it went along, because that was a whole roller coaster of emotion, right? This will be a video that's directed to someone who's just been on the outside and looking and being like, I have not played this Shadowlands thing. Is it going to be okay? And I'm going to, and spoiler alert, I'm going to say so far, yeah, I think you should pick it up and try it out and play it. Because someone who's coming in new is not going to go through that whole roller coaster of emotion. They're not going to go through all that time gating. They're not going to go through this and this and this and this and this. A lot of those things have been resolved. And so the question that I'm going to explore is what will the experience be like for someone who just jumps into Shadowlands right now as it is? The one thing that really stands out that I think is really bad for Shadowlands, if someone were to come in now, is that the story at one point becomes very disjointed. Between 905 and 91, there's like some of that story that has to do with like Anduin and what he's up to when going into the twisting corridors. I haven't been able to explore it, and I don't know if I'll be able to, but I think that part just kind of like gets skipped over or glossed over. Like you can't access that. And so there's a big disconnect in story at that point. Outside of it though, when it comes to like the gameplay and just wanting to chill, because remember a person who is joining, who would be signing up now, they probably don't care as much about, I got to get into the raid as soon as possible so I can get that mythic shit going, because they missed out on a lot already. They're just there to get like that full experience. And so the question is, can they get that kind of full experience without feeling some of the awkwardness there? And I think so. But I haven't even started writing it. That'll be something that I'll have next week. I plan on not having a lot of video content next week, just so you know. Because next week, most of Blizzard is going to be taking the week off. So I'm going to assume that there's not going to be a lot of news. So apart from that video and, the usual reminder video, that's probably going to be it. I'm going to take most of the week off. Vacation. Yeah, so no weekly either. Or Bob will do it. I don't know. Yeah, there won't be a lot. Let's see. Anyone's going to try it? Season mastery is what? In like 10, 11, 12. That's in 5 hours, right? I thought about it, but I just don't have the time. Peter says that all these topics go right over my head, to be honest. If the add-on gets installed and does what it does, if it does what it should, great. It is great. I only played 9.0, so it'll be interesting for me. Are you doing it from a person familiar with WoW or completely new? Familiar with WoW. Someone who's familiar. I'm gonna capture that sort of audience. Because a brand new player, that's gonna be different too. A little bit different. But for a brand new player, it's gonna feel just confusing because it's like, oh, I'm gonna level. Ooh, look at this. Horde and Alliance. Cool. How do I explore more of the story? Oh, I'm level 50. Oh, off I go, yeeting off to the Shadowlands. But then after that, it's okay. It's kind of okay, because then you get this whole different story and all that stuff. I guess that's one of like the big flaws about what they did here with Shadowlands, is that for brand new players, it doesn't feel like Warcraft, right? You get a taste of it from 1 to 10 and 10 to 50, and then all of a sudden, bloop, you get sucked up with all these like very unfamiliar characters. You're like, what the F is going on? Oh man. I think the main problem is catch-up, to be honest. Catch-up is on one hand needed for active players and twinks. On the other hand, it destroys the iPlay, the add-on for the first. The challenge with WoW is dealing with it to different audiences. Now, for a lot of us, we play not every day, but we're active subscribers and we're there for the moments so we can have that shared experience. But at the same time, we're there for that whole roller coaster of, oh, this is busted, or this needs to be improved, or this is working, or this change happened. But we want to be there. The other audience is the one that might be coming in soon, because with the holidays coming up, there's going to be like those holiday sales, things like that. And so again, the question will be like, okay, so is now a good time to come in a year later? And I think so. Should you stay? I don't know. It's fucking up to you. Should you stay for 9.2? I know even less about that. I can't answer that for you. But can you play through 9.0 and 9.1, with the offerings between the campaigns and the things that you can farm for, the transmog, the activities, and all that stuff? Will that be fun for you? For that certain audience member? I think so. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to farm for. There's a lot of things to collect and story to check out. If you're there for like the raids and whatnot, you came in late, buddy. You came in pretty darn late. So you can, feel free to come in for that. But I think folks that have been waiting, they haven't been as concerned about the raids. Not as concerned, right? So it really depends. Returning players have been so stubborn replaying old expansions before they unlock Chromie time, stumbling on untested edge cases. It's not even a WoW specific problem. Look at 14. I hate that I have to play the story as good as it is, because I'm a veteran MMO player. I want to play the story when I want to, and for it to not be mandatory. I mean, I've dealt with it. I survived it. I survived the MSQ. But there were those moments where, it's definitely a different experience when you're a new player and you feel like you're in that catch-up mode. 14 doesn't have that catch-up mode. When it comes to the main story quest line, like it's a whole experience that, even though I rushed through, my recommendation would be to, kind of take your time on it. I skipped that first part, or I skipped Realm Reborn, or the patch content for Realm Reborn, but I don't regret it. I don't feel like I missed out on enough. I still felt, I still feel the story with the characters, but I know in my heart that I wouldn't be any more connected to the characters if I did play through the patch content any more than I am now. I'm okay with it. Again, I survived it. But yeah, going back, the gameplay stuff, those were kind of rough points for me. They caused me to quit, because I'd be like, okay, it's like 2 a.m. I want to play 14 now. Oh, right. I'm on that part where I have to get into a group so I can do a trial, and I can't because it's 2 a.m. and no one's on, and I'm screwed. So I guess I can't play. And yeah, that's what happened to me a lot early on. Let's see. I quit before I finished the patch content. I skip the boring parts of a good TV show all the time. And if that's what people want to do, that's fine. I get tilted a little bit. Or I got tilted a little bit when people would say, oh, you didn't play through the story. You didn't play the game right. Screw you. I can play the game however the hell I like. And if I give a perspective from that, and if I have a take from that perspective, that's my take. I own that. That's mine. I don't care what you think. Sorry. Still waiting for a Bob hosted video. In that case, you did the side quests in 14. Is that a question? I did not do the side quests. I skipped all of them, unfortunately, because I didn't need to do them. I think that was the big thing. I didn't need to do them, so I didn't do it. So I was told to play through the story and not use the boost. I mean, I would recommend the same thing. You know, if you can stomach it, and if your playtime allows for it, yeah, just play through it. Or, as a reminder, you can play. You can do what's it called, a new game plus, and you can just do it later. That's fine too. That was more recently implemented, but you have that freedom to do it. You have a choice, and choices are always great. So, boost and new game plus later. Yeah, like if you want to play through the if you want to play with your friends and get to end game, cool. It's pretty easy. You just gotta boost as far as you can, stomach the current story, and then buy some crafted gear, and then you're done. It's progression is very very fast there. It's not until you want to really like farm for like the transmogs then and relics and stuff like that, then you're putting in the work. I have two friends from WoW that tried out Final Fantasy. One of it played it as he would WoW. The other tackled it from a different perspective than he normally would. Can you guess which one is still playing? Haha. What I don't get is that why Blizzard has 15 years of work and nearly never used that work again after a year. None of me and my colleagues get that. We are all somehow in game development, and no normal developer does that. Personally, I don't know why either, although part of what makes it even more challenging is that they not reinvent, but they overhaul classes on a pretty regular basis, which really fucks up a lot of the old content. And by that, I'm talking about old progression systems, old tier sets. There's there are old tier sets that refer to abilities and talents and other things that no longer exist, or that were folded into other things that would do weird things with the tier bonuses. So that's the problem that Blizzard makes for themselves. Whoops. Can they ever make up for it? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. You canceled your subs with all the business and corporate issues and not solved and play Final Fantasy 14 exclusively now. That's nice. I don't think there was much of a wall in Shadowbringers. Then again, I did Psycho. So no. I would say like with Shadowbringers, you didn't have that wall because you had the trust system. The only times where I ran into an issue were the trials. So they were fewer, but I still ran into them. Like I remember for about a month or so, I think I unsubbed for a while because I just didn't have the time. I was in front. Like I was just in this area where like Amidst Selch is like just right there. And I'm like, all right, this is it, man. We're going to do it. And then I would queue up and it's like 1:30 in the morning. And I'm like, yep, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then I'd wait. And then about half an hour later, I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. I'm off to bed because that was my playtime. So that part sucked. Those were the walls for me. But at least dungeons were, at least that wall was lifted from me, right? Because I could use the AI, I could use the trust system, and use that. They were mind-numbingly slow getting through because I play as a tank, I play as a paladin, and so I'm just like spin to win, wait, spin to win, wait. Let's see. They have a meta system they've been reusing. Why? They were just skinning it. They were just skinning over it. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Esther. We have the theory that WoW wouldn't have survived so long if it didn't reinvent itself again and again. Now most people are bored of World of Warcraft, but in a normal life cycle of an MMO, this happens already after 2 or 3 years max. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I just think that more of these people are talking. That's it. That's my take. This is coming from nothing. This is anecdotal, okay? Take that with your grains or buckets of salt. I think people are just more vocal about, I stopped playing WoW and now I'm playing this thing. And I'm so proud and it makes me feel so good that I'm letting all of you know, unprompted, what I am playing. because that's important. It's important for you to know, right? Right. Please tell me you're not going to start having. Oh God, please tell me you aren't going to start having 14 versus WoW. I play both. That's my versus. I play both. OMG. We quit WoW completely after all that WoW drama. Played New World a few months back at WoW and back at WoW. Brand new account, starting over. Oh, that's so brave. That's so unsarcastically brave. I don't know if I could stand to do that. A brand new account. I think it's time for WoW to do something, to do some reinventing again. The Legion formula is getting way too stale. I think the only approach that I'm looking for, and there, oh shit, it posted, right? I hope it posted. I posted a video like a few hours ago, I think. Did it post? Did it post? Yes. So, okay. Let me rephrase. I reposted a video that talked about reinventing the way PvE rewards are being done, and to just kind of simplify it, just make it all about, hey, just gain valor. If you look at 9.2, you could adopt something like that, where all the quests that you do, you can progress towards flying, and you can progress towards trading in gear for tier and all that other stuff. But even then, like, ultimately the progression of just getting more powerful, just have valor attached to like everything, and then buy stuff, and then trade that stuff in if you want tier or something like that. I think that alone would solve tons and tons of problems. Instead of having some sort of like post max level progression system like artifact power or Azerite or all that stuff, just have it be good old gear like it always was. And if there is going to be some sort of expansion gimmick, just give that to us right away, and then have the rest of it be dictated just by item level and gear. So that way it doesn't feel like extra work that we're doing. It's all related to the same stuff, and the expansion feature that we got, it was just a gimme. Easy. Okay, not easy, but the foundation of that, easy. I'd like to think it's easy to understand. If I play through the campaign of a Covenant with a malware, such as a Hunter, and reached Renown 80, do I have to play the same campaign with your plateware to get the full set open, or just hit a certain Renown? Let me reread that question, Dragon. If I play through the campaign of a Covenant with a malware, such as a Hunter, and I reached 80, do I have to play that same campaign with my plateware to get the full set, or just hit a certain Renown level? So if you want the armor, yes, you do need to play through that again. However, there were some things that we found out from more recent testing. When you go to a Covenant person, like the Covenant Quartermaster specifically, and then you get an appearance, it's not like gear anymore. You get a token, and then you use the token, and then ta-da, you get the appearance. Apparently, there's a thing where, let's say, as a Paladin, I can go to this Covenant Quartermaster, and I can change the filter on the vendor, so I can buy leather, cloth, and mail stuff. Things that I can technically wear, but not really. And I can use those tokens, and I can learn the appearance. Oh shit. Now it's kind of a bug too, because if I'm on a cloth person, same scenario, I cannot buy leather, mail, or plate, because technically I can't put those on at all. So there's a weird bug that's going on, and it's something that I don't want to put out on a video or Twitter or whatnot, because I don't want people to jump to conclusions or start behaving in certain ways that could be fixed in the near future. I don't want to fuck people over like that. But there is the possibility that if all this gets smoothed out, you can be on one character and you can buy all of the at least armor appearances on these characters, and then just use them and then have them learn on everyone else. So you wouldn't need to even have another character. You could just have one character. You could feasibly, with great effort, have just one character buy every appearance and the pets and the mounts and all those things for every covenant, and then you're done. That's the not hope, but that's that's the possibility there. But we're not quite there yet. I hope that sort of answers your question. Sort of, but yeah. At the moment, though, if you want every appearance, then yeah, you are going to have to play through the campaign for each and every armor type / weapon type. In terms of Shadowlands after a year, I think an interesting point of view could be guildless versus guild. I think it has a big impact on the experience. That's tough, because I obviously come from the perspective of being more social, of being part of a guild. And I believe that is not the best way to go, but for me, it's the best way to go. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to thrive in an MMO if I was like completely alone. It's why I don't really thrive very well in 14, but that's a different story. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to enjoy I wouldn't be able to enjoy raids and stuff if I was always like just murking myself out. I want to be able to build relationships and have friends and stuff like that. Let's see. The Legion formula, that is their meta system. That doesn't tell me anything, dude. The Legion formula. That's right. Having class specific everything. That's the Legion formula, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. It totally has. It was over 60% of the reason I stopped playing WoW, because some guild drama, and then I had no one to play with anymore. That's rough. I just want a clan. No guild, but a similar thing for all my alts, so I don't have to make a bank guild. I'm not quite sure what you mean by a clan, or what the difference is between a clan and a guild. Don't know if you saw, but Blizzard employees walked out again today, Oh, really? I didn't see this. Let's see. Walk out. Do. Walk out. Do. All right. We have instituted our own zero tolerance policy. We will not be silenced until Bobby Kotick has been replaced as CEO, and continue to hold our original demand for a third-party review by an employee chosen source. We are staging a walkout today. We welcome you to join us. So the third, from that article that I read, there was like an outside party that did an investigation or whatnot, but it wasn't chosen by the employees. So good. That's it. That's all I gotta say about it. Good. I don't see anything. Don't see nothing wrong with that. Let's see. With these walkouts, we're never getting 9.2. As far as I know, to me, it's more like early vacation, because next week they're taking the whole week off. I doubt that, they're not going to do takebacks on that. But something like this is a flashpoint. So if they're mad, let them be mad. Did I mean the entire collection as in the 10K one? I think I missed something, Peter. Sorry. So odd, I played WoW for years all by myself. No, there's nothing wrong with wanting to play on your own, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm speaking for myself, that I know that I would not thrive the same way if I wasn't part of, or if I wasn't running a guild. But that's just me. Some people are perfectly fine doing their own thing, murking themselves out, being parts of pugs, or just not doing any group content at all. It's their choice. And the burden on Blizzard is to develop something that caters to all these different sorts of choices. 10.0 will be delayed. Oh, God. See, this is the kind of shit that tilts me, man. Every little bump. Oh no, 9.2 is never gonna come. 10.0 is delayed. Please, we're seeing one thing about the dude up top, and we're acting like, we're acting like the whole place is burning down. Please. Not to say that that there may not be a delay, but we just learned what's going on. Why are we jumping into like crazy ass conclusions now? My biggest concern is, am I going to get that damn mount during the anniversary event or what? Betty's on the mark there. I'm more concerned about the employees than game delays, because what this article does, and it's hard, and this is a perspective that I don't have, but I'm trying to I'm trying to understand, is that having this article come out, it lays fresh, even though this happened years ago, it lays fresh that feeling of the man up top is not looking out for us, is not looking out for women or people of color or people who are marginalized or people who are victims. He's not looking out for them. He's looking out for him and the company and the bottom line. And now it's really going to be up to, and it's going to be up to the board now. It's going to be up to the board to decide if him being at the top is a liability. We also need to think about who would take his place. And I don't have any knowledge or experience to even begin to understand like who would take that dude's place. But that is probably a taste of how people in the company feel right now. Not exactly like betrayed or anything like that, but they feel insecure. They feel vulnerable, and they'd rather not be in a vulnerable place. So they want to say something, and now's the best time to do it. When the anger's hot, when the story's fresh, when it's trending, write it. That's how that's how you try to get shit done. So 34 tries, still no mount. How do you get the mount? Yeah, you just go to Tanaris. You can go there from any of the portal rooms in Orgrimmar or Stormwind. Just go straight to Caverns of Time, turn around, and he's out there, or his corpses are out there. That's it. Let's see. What do you think would happen if Kotick leaves? I'm actually curious. Like, do they think he's creating some sort of evil aura that's infecting games? Because that is weird to me. Can I get one for a specific item like shoulders, or do I have to buy the entire set? There are both. There are full ensembles, and there are individual pieces, but there isn't both. Not like PvP gear was. It's either or. You either buy the whole thing or a la carte. The keep all internal stuff in USA is a real problem, not only in Blizzard, but I mean that's a problem everywhere. Straight up. I don't see where it's not a problem. These companies aren't going to be run by benevolent, generous people, because those aren't the types of people that have the personality types to achieve that level of success. Generally, no, that I definitely agree. The people the people who are at the top of companies, they are motivated by the success of their companies, and unfortunately, that typically threatens to compromise on integrity to a certain extent. You don't become the richest person on the planet because you're hella nice and people just like you and want to throw money at you. That appears to be just how it is. I don't think there's anyone who is an exception to that, except failed CEOs or ones that are like really small companies or whatever. CEOs are supposed to be looking at the bottom line. That's why listening to HR is so important. HR is there to protect the company in the long run by protecting its employees. Bobby Kotick just does his job. He does what he's paid for, and he does it very well. That's why he's paid so well. But economics don't care about people, and I think that should change. You know, caring about the people is a kind of chaotic factor because it's not exactly quantifiable, but it should be. You know, feelings and personalities and those and things like that. Those should be quantified somehow, and there are efforts being made towards that. I can't give any examples because I don't think there's any great ones, but I think that they're trying. But I think they got to do better. A lot of the peeps complaining about Activision CEO bitch that Blizzard isn't like the old Blizz, but isn't a lot of the pre-Activision Blizzard peeps that created the whole controversy in the first place. Yes. I'm sure that there's a narrative out there still that none of this would have happened if it wasn't for the merger. Please. It would have happened on its own. You know, yeah, this would have happened regardless. If Blizzard was just Blizzard and nothing else changed, we would still have the Blizzard lawsuit. Right? It's just that the holding company for Activision Blizzard, or the holding company that is Activision Blizzard, also has its own problems. Will things change because Kotick is replaced? Probably not. Unfortunately, not at any time soon. Did I get a bug bite? Man, yeah. Will anything change? I doubt it. I doubt much of anything is going to change if Kotick is forced out. We're not going to get player housing because some other person takes over, right? It's like a bunch of layered stuff that's going on. You know, there's fighting for the workers' rights and, you know, better opportunities, and things have changed. You know, things have been happening, and it's great. Those things are great. Contractors are being paid more. Most of the company is getting the week off. I believe it's paid, a paid week off. That's cool. You know, and there are new policies that are being put in place. The WoW team itself is trying to improve its own self-image and how the game is outwardly faced. They are also trying to just make a decent game too. Here at the top, some new shit's going down. Yeah. But all these things, while they run parallel because of the circumstances around them, they're still being handled kind of separately. And it's going to take time for much to happen. I doubt that this article is going to make Kotick step down today. So don't expect some crazy news, but if there is, it'll be some pretty crazy news. But will it mean anything in the short term? Is it going to mean WoW's next expansion is going to go in a different direction? No, absolutely not. That ship is sailing, not sailed, but it's sailing. You know, it's that shit's already on the move. You raise in a company up to your level of incompetence. Our economic system doesn't account for it in the state that it is in now. Stuff has to change, but change is hard. If it works so well for so many people so long. If the people are in charge are being told that they need to... How do you change when the people are in charge are happy with how things are now? Right? Well, one, you try to get them out. And you hope that the replacement is someone different. Is it, help me out. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft? I say Ubisoft every time. But is it Ubisoft? Please tell me it's not. Please tell me I'm right. Anyway, they're still struggling. They are still dealing with trying to have their demands met. Same thing, same difference almost. And the last thing they got from their leadership was, kind of condescending messaging. But, so they're still going. Of course, we tend to we still put Activision Blizzard on a pedestal. Somehow, and even though we kind of look at them as, they're being not kicked while they're down, but that's the closest thing I can come up with. But we still elevate them so much. It's like, it makes big news because we elevate them like that. We continue to do that. We continue to treat them like they're some sort of rock star. And I'd like to think that they're just like any other company. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick responds to the Wall Street Journal. Following a scathing report by the Wall Street Journal, which asserts that Bobby Kotick was fully aware of the reports of sexual harassment and discrimination within Activision Blizzard, and may have even had a hand in covering up for other executives, the CEO shared a message with the company's employees which reiterated his conviction to create the most welcoming and inclusive workplace. The message references the actions taken by the companies so far to improve the company, including cutting his own compensation, waiving mandatory arbitration, and pledging to increase the percentage of marginalized people within the company, but has an inescapable feeling of damage control, leading with a statement that the journal's article paints an inaccurate and misleading view of our company, of me personally and my leadership, which is suspiciously similar to the tone of Francis Townsend's email, which called the California lawsuit a distorted and untrue picture of our company, including factually inaccurate, old, and out-of-context stories. The message similarly glosses over the details of the journal's accusations, such as General Neal leaving due to lack of faith with the leadership, or the claim that she was paid less than Mikey Barr while serving in the same role as co-lead of Blizzard Entertainment, despite a report from CEO Daniel Allegre last month claiming that women averaged 1 penny higher for every dollar of compensation awarded to men. That's fucked up. While these contradictions may be deflection or simply Activision's favorite type of legalese, these words expressed in Kotick's message are in sharp contrast to reports in the media, reiterating the company's newfound desire to be a model workplace and their zero-tolerance policy for any kind of inappropriate behavior. Oh, is it a YouTube thing? Hold on. Oh, no. It's an internal thing. Okay, good. Kotick, do not defile my YouTube feed with your mug. Let's go.
I wanted to.
Nope, can't hear it. Hold on. Let's turn on my own sound.
I want to talk with you today about our future and reiterate my conviction to create the most welcoming and inclusive workplace.
Oh God, he speaks just as slow as he does when he does the investor calls. If you've heard them, he reads this slowly.
Over the last few months, so many of you have generously and candidly shared your experiences and your insights about the type of company you want us to be. We've taken meaningful actions to improve our company and our culture, but there's more to do. To become the model workplace we all aspire to be, more change is required, but I am so confident we will get there. There will, of course, be continued media attention about us and our industry over the next few months. In fact, there's an article today that paints an inaccurate and misleading view of our company, of me personally, and my leadership. I want to say two important things about this. First, we are incredibly fortunate to have the most talented people in our industry, all so committed to constant improvement, and I share this commitment. The second thing I want to say is that anyone who doubts my conviction to be the most welcoming and inclusive workplace doesn't really appreciate how important this is to me. Creativity and inspiration thrives best in a safe, welcoming, respectful environment. There is no substitute for that. And staying true to our values without exceptions is the best way to retain our talent and to attract the new talent we need to achieve our great potential. As I've made clear, we're moving forward with a new zero-tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior. And zero means zero. Any reprehensible conduct is simply unacceptable.
So are you still there?
We have a chance to further enhance our culture and be the example other companies will follow. And we are so incredibly fortunate. Connecting and engaging the world through joy and fun is a powerful mission. Accomplishing this in a welcoming, inclusive workplace ensures we will achieve our mission with excellence. Over the last few years, our industry has had an uncomfortable spotlight that's been illuminating opportunities for us to change. And we must all, including me, embrace this need for change so we can bring our very best selves to the very best place to work. Thank you for your commitment to a culture of respect, your appreciation for the unique talents we each possess, and for maintaining the very best environment for all of us to work. For that, I am truly grateful.
It's nuts how
And my leadership.
calm he is. I was watching it and I'm like thinking to myself, like waist down, or below his torso, is his hands like all bloodied up because he was like punching walls or punching people or something like that. And is his shirt is the sweater like over a bloody shirt because he was just mauling something else and just raging the fuck out. And yet he comes out all calm. It reminds me of season whatever of Daredevil, where you had what's it called, Kingpin tell that one dude, he's like, the best way to, the best thing that you can do to, get that tension out is to let out a primal scream or something like that. And I'm seeing him do that in like his panic room. Whoa! Just going whoa, fucking nuts. And yeah, so what chat was going? What was this? So I guess that definitely means no PTR today. Oh, we're not going to see it until like at least after Thanksgiving. At least after Thanksgiving. This is even without this news that's been coming out. Let's see. Union, still not a union, so walkouts and strikes are not protected by law. Schreier is tweeting out another Activision response after everything, saying that they're not going to fire Kotick. No, I don't think they can do it that fast because you need to get the board together. They can't just, HR can't just fire them. Like, you're going to have to get the board together. So I think that's kind of deceptive speak. Corporate is much slower. Corporate is typically much slower than that. I'm trying to think of like a little while back when I was talking about some other guy some CEO of a small studio who was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a pro-life developer, and I support the Texas law and blah blah blah." And I think over the weekend he was ousted. For a company as big as this, if there is going to be a process that makes that happen, it's probably not going to be as fast. They probably need to get like more people together and on a big call and be like, "All right, guys, what do we want to do?" And go with that. They are 1,000% protected by law and have been for quite some time. I just got that from. Oh, okay. So it's just the law. How does that work exactly? Because not anyone can just say, well, I don't believe this is right, and so you can't fire me or something like that. Oh, wait. There we go. An employer cannot fire employees for engaging in a concerted activity if the demands are reasonable, even if the employees are not unionized. Okay, well that settles that. Let's see. That sounds like the most deadpan. I didn't read this ahead of time. He's not wearing pants. Dun, dun, dun. January now, if they're serious about stopping work, there has to be significant risk to the board's profits before Kotick goes. There was a cool tweet or a statement that I saw from somebody where they said if all the workers stopped working for one day, the world would fall into chaos. If billionaires stopped working for one day, no one would fucking notice. So that's what I hope is the effect of what's going on. Brack got ousted pretty quick. It still took like a week or so, though. Yeah, that still took a week. Activision stock is down $30 from August as of a minute ago. You gonna buy that dip? I wonder if I wonder why people always attack CEOs when, to be honest, the board of directors are as much to blame, if not more, for accepting the bad behaviors. After all, the CEO is hired by the board specifically to look out for the best interest, not necessarily for the grunt. HR is supposed to look out for the grunt. No, I agree. Like, the pressure should be put not onto other executives necessarily, but the board who's like really in charge of this sort of stuff. And that's all that was said. Okay, so it was just a statement. Weird to have that statement go out, and like the way things were worded, it's like he was calling himself out for past behavior. Someone on my chat said something about like he's a murderer or whatnot, but that's a criminal thing, and if there's something to pursue there, then pursue it in that direction. I don't think that has anything to do with what's going on here. They're now rated as a sell by the 3 major rating houses. Billionaires work. I bought the dip at 70. Whoops. Ian for CEO, and he can put in systems to try and fix everything without talks there. Yes, absolutely. Very, very smart. The only other big bomb is when he gets ousted for being in the Epstein Black Book when Epstein's girlfriend goes on trial soon. So many connecting things with like the ultra rich and all that. I don't even know what to make of that. But I guess my concerns typically just come back to WoW. What is it going to mean? What is it going to mean for the game? Are there going to be more? The people who decided to stop working, are they gonna go as far as being like, what, it's just not worth it? Where's that line? That where does it end? What's the point where someone who was like, hey, what, I love this franchise, I love this team, but I don't love the leadership. When does it come to the point where it's time to like just let it go, right? So like the thought is, for people who are working on 9.2, when they're done with their part of their work, are they gonna go? Or when the next expansion drops, whenever the fuck that is that going to be it for them too? So someone said that Activision Blizzard made a statement. Here we go. This is from Lore. The Activision Blizzard board of directors Well, from the board of directors, released the following statement responding to the recent media stories. The Activision Blizzard board remains committed to the goal of making Activision Blizzard the most welcoming and inclusive company in the industry, yada, yada, yada. Under Bobby Kotick's leadership, the company is already implementing industry-leading changes, including a zero-tolerance harassment policy, a dedication to achieving significant increases to the percentage of women and non-binary people in our workforce, and significant internal and external investments to accelerate opportunities for diverse talent. The board remains confident that Kotick appropriately addressed workplace issues brought to his attention. The goals we've set for ourselves are both critical and ambitious. The board remains confident in his leadership, commitment, and ability to achieve these goals. Yep. So the narrative that can be, the narrative to write is that no, it's not just Kotick, that it's the board that enables this sort of behavior. You know how I said really early in the stream and in the middle of the stream that I believe in a good redemption story? That hasn't changed, but boy, this is rough. Sometimes redemption means to cut things out. Sometimes it means cauterizing the wound, which involves pain, a bit of suffering, and a bit of sacrifice. It's not easy to say that, oh, you know, they can make up for this. You know, they can come back from this with Kotick still at the lead. It's really going to come down to challenging the challenge between leadership and the staff. Like, there's kind of a showdown happening here. Can the company, you know, continue to operate without most of its team? You know, without being, you know, will the company go as far as risking, you know, taking big risks and like going as far as like firing people, or positioning themselves to retaliate, as in, how should I put this? Like in the near future, they'll talk about, we're not going to fire. How should I phrase this? It's like saying, we're not going to fire you because you haven't come into work. We're going to fire you because you haven't been meeting deadlines, which is, you know, kind of a really shitty way to go about it. But stuff like that can happen. You know, positioning these employees and positioning the staff in such a way that they can be that they can be fired for like other things. Obviously, we know why, because they haven't been working or whatever. But I can see something like this happening. Are they still going to feel the same way in January when their stock has lost more than half of its value in 5 months? I know I'm coming in late, but is the Overwolf drama affecting WoW and manager as well? Not for another couple months, but I don't think the WoW people have said anything. I don't know if I'm still in. I don't think I'm still in their Discord. How did Paul Rudd win Sexiest Man Alive and not Ryan Reynolds or so? This is not the first time that Paul Rudd won Sexiest Man Alive. He also won it back in like the 30s too. So, but yeah, it like it's hard to react to this, or it's hard to react fully to this because this shit is like ongoing.